Hello everyone! Recently I've been speedrunning Little Nightmares and it's been a real blast learning the run and even diving into some theories behind the story. I'm here to teach you and myself some of the speedrun strats you perform in the run. This isn't a guide for the entire run, but rather just the specific skips, tricks, and tips. Before I get started, the best way to speedrun this game is to use both keyboard, mouse, and the controller. There are some skips that are easier to perform using one than the other. So you will see either the keyboard and mouse icon or the controller icon in the bottom right. So let's get started. This is the chair skip. Normally you would have to pull the chair in the middle of the room towards the door so you can use to jump off and gain enough height to reach the doorknob. But you actually don't need to use the chair at all. Instead, you can run behind the chair and use the plank that's lying on the floor. Make sure you are running and jump at the end of the plank to reach the doorknob. Visually, 6 shouldn't be able to reach the doorknob, but there is a weird invisible magnet that teleports 6 to grab it. It's a rather tricky skip to pull because the analog stick can be really sensitive, but with enough practice it'll come pretty easy. I use this pathing to make sure I don't have to do a sudden change of direction and maximize my chances to making it. Here is a side-by-side comparison to show you the difference in speed. It's easy to mess up the skip, and considering it's the first skip you do in the game, it is tempting to reset because of it. But keep trying and finish the run before you do early resets. Because unless you're running for sub 40-minute times, it's not really worth it in my opinion. The zipline skip is considered one of the harder glitches to perform, especially during an actual run. The intended route is to use the objects in the room to block the light from reaching, or run under the light and easily get across. If you do get caught in the light, you will most likely die and have to reset. The way the light starts is always the same, so we can abuse that during the speedrun strat. Before you run into the room, you will come across 4 blocks that are just lying in the hallway. You will have to carry one with you. In order to perform this glitch, there are 2 criteria that need to be met. First, you need a block that's placed between the 2 rooms on the door frame. Secondly, 6 has to be standing on the platform lower than the platform the block is placed on. Now that the 2 criteria is met, here comes the hardest part. You will need to grab and release immediately, so 6 tries to grab the block but cancels. This will cause 6 to get a movement boost forward because she is too far from the block. Generally half a second after letting go of the hold button to carry the momentum far enough to launch you behind the bed frame. A lot of runners don't do this just because of how inconsistent it can be. You can easily not get enough momentum and reach just before the bed frame and the light catches you, causing you to die. Or you can accidentally go too far and hit the wall or bed frame and get hit by the light as well. Don't worry about it, running under the light is the second fastest way to get through this room. These are one of the 4 sets of hunger skips. The hunger skips are exactly what they mean. Throughout the game, there are 4 moments where 6 gets incredibly hungry and has this animation cutscene. It's pretty slow to watch, and the community has found out that there are trigger points. Forcing 6 to trip on purpose past the trigger points will make the game think that we did the animation. There are 2 ways to do this, and they are both easier to perform using the keyboard and mouse. The first method is to hold one direction, generally the direction you are trying to go towards, and quickly tap the opposite direction. This will cause 6 to fumble, not understanding which direction she wants to go, and trip. Second method is similar, but instead you alternate both directions quickly to get the same effect. Whichever method is up to you and whatever is most comfortable to you. The first trigger point is on the 7th line on the floor. The easier way to remember is to follow the line on the wall that runs down connecting with the line on the floor. The trigger point is the line right after it, indicated in red. Second trigger point is easier to skip, as all you really need to do is jump and grab the ledge after the hatch door on the floor. Hold the ledge until 6 drops on purpose. If you manually let go, it may not skip the animation, so just hold on until 6 drops herself. The third animation isn't really worth skipping, since it's pretty quick and you don't really lose any time. The best thing is just to set yourself up to grab the bread as quickly as possible. In comparison, the hunger animation can play a big role in saving you a lot of time. It averages around 5 seconds per skip, and since you are doing it 4 sets of 3, you can easily save around 1 minute over the course of the run. This is the cage skip. Personally, I think the skip ultimately depends on the position of the cage, as there is a world tilt that can sway the cage left and this is up to your judgment whether the skip is worth it. The normal way is to run to the right and jump off of the plank to reach the cage. This is the safer way, and depending on the world tilt you can land on the cage without even climbing. The speedrun strat is to do a running start and quickly do a 180 and jump as late as possible to reach for the cage. My opinion on this is that if the cage is far left, 6 will have to do a slow climb up. But if the cage is far right, 6 can make the jump without having to climb at all if you jump late enough. Ultimately, you want to make sure whichever method you end up doing, you don't jump too short and force 6 to climb, because that's the slower way. One of my favorite skips of the game is the pulley skip. It's super fun to do and will utilize both keyboard and controller, as it's the safer way to do it. The intended route is very slow. You're going to have to run through the bars once you shut off the lights and ride a very long elevator back down to the start of the area. Then run all the way across once again, but this time avoiding slimes that are falling off of the roof. Luckily, slimes in this game are very easy to avoid, and unless you're actively trying to run into them, you should be fine. Once you run across, you've made it to the other set of bars, but that's all too boring and way too slow. So let's YOLO jump off and pray we don't break our legs. Just kidding. You 100% definitely won't break your legs because of a weird collision glitch. If you hug the wall right before the pipe and land on the far left box, you're guaranteed a safe landing. In fact, it's so safe, as long as you're within the general area, as long as you're hugging the wall on the way down, you'll make it. The camera is glitched because normally you aren't supposed to live from a fall that high, so it is stuck above you. So what I personally do is keybind my camera view to the down arrow on my keyboard and use that simultaneously with my controller to see where I'm going. The only thing you really need to worry about after that is that there is a small gap between the 3 initial boxes. You will fall into a hole and will have to reset the checkpoint. So I recommend jumping into the middle box and jump to the far right just to be safe. There is a risky strat. This one is a real YOLO as you jump even further down and try to grab a pixel ledge. The ledge has a weird physics property that actually allows you to float and reset your falling distance, and if you do it correctly, will even save you more time. What you want to do is hug the wall and hold right as you're falling down. The moment you pass the 3 initial box, hold left and hope you land somewhat near the ledge that you will need to grab. Ultimately, the risky strat is fastest strat, but it's also the harder one. So whichever one you decide to do, it is only a few seconds difference. I hope this helped you or inspired you to give them a try. I'll see you in the next video for chapter 2, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment what was your favorite skip/glitch. Good luck!